I call the order of the meeting of the Verona Common Council for Monday, July 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Next, we'll have the roll.
Alderperson Harrison.
Here.
Alderperson Helmke. Here. Alderperson Hoax.
Present.
Alderperson Lytle.
Here.
Alderperson Swanson.
Here.
Alderperson Tucker Long.
Here.
Alderperson Weiss.
Here.
All right, we have enough people for quorum, so we can proceed. We'll move on to item 4, which is public comment. Just one quick note. If you are here applying for the appointment of the District 1 alderperson, you'll be given a chance to speak under 6C. So I guess if anyone else has any public comment they'd like to give, now would be the time to do so. Not seeing anyone approaching the microphone, so we will move on to item 5, which is approval of the minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 Common Council meeting. Questions, comments, corrections, or motions to approve? Alder Humke.
I move to approve the minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 council meeting.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Harrison. Last chance for corrections. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 Common Council meeting, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 6, which is mayor's business. First up, we have 6A, which is the swearing in of police officers and recognition of office staff.
Good evening. It's customary for the Verona Police Department to introduce our new officers, and we have taken it another step and introduce new staff members as well. So it seemed like just a few short months ago, we were up here introducing Officers Brockton Russell and Officer Bailey Paulson, and here we are tonight. I'm going to introduce Officer Jackson Bollig, Officer Brandon Hall, and Emily Miller, who is working with our clerical staff. Both Jackson and Brandon come to us certified. They did not need the police academy. Jackson is a patrol officer who started with Verona on May 12th. He comes to Verona with 5 years of experience with his law enforcement career starting at the Wisconsin State Capitol Police and the Oregon Police Department. Officer Bollig has been the recipient of a Life-Saving Award, Excellence in Service Award, and Officer of the Year. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and he is a Verona native, having grown up in Verona, and graduated from the Verona High School. Welcome home. Officer Hall, Brandon is a patrol officer who started with the Verona Police Department on May 19th. He comes to Verona with 3 years of experience from the Portage Police Department, and I love that he brought his previous sergeant with him to celebrate. Brandon has experience as a field training officer and also been a recipient of a life-saving award. He graduated from Madison Area Technical College with an associate degree in civil engineering. Happy to have you here. And Emily, who also lives in the city of Verona, has joined us as a permanent part-time records clerk, starting her tenure with us on June 9th. She also works full-time as a paralegal for the Wisconsin Department of Justice and has over 4 years of experience in clerical settings such as ours. Emily has an associate degree in recording and music technology, a bachelor's degree in entertainment and media business, both degrees from Madison Media Institute, and a baccalaureate from Madison Area Technical College as a paralegal. How'd I do? Excellent. So, welcome. And so in order for these two young men to work as police officers in our community, they need to be sworn in, and our city clerk will do that now.
All right, if I could have you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been appointed as police officer for the city of Verona, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of police officer to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
And I'll give everyone a minute. Filter out. Okay, we will move on to item 6B, which is the Veterans Picnic Proclamation, which I will read to you now. Whereas countless veterans who served after the Vietnam era have made significant sacrifices in defense of our nation, including those from the city of Verona, and whereas Donald R. Schmidt, a veteran who served during the Vietnam era as a member of the 3rd Detachment, 101st Airborne Division, received care packages for himself and his fellow service members from the Verona American Legion Auxiliary, and in 1966, those same members of the 101st Airborne Division bestowed the title of Hometown USA on the city of Verona, Wisconsin, believing it to be the ideal place to live and raise a family. And whereas our community recognizes the dedication and the commitment of countless veterans who served after the Vietnam era, honoring their sacrifices in defense of our nation, and whereas our nation owes an immeasurable debt of gratitude to the more than 8 million veterans who served post-Vietnam and the many who made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as those who returned home to a nation that may not have fully recognized our contributions, and whereas while we cannot change the past, we can strive to ensure that our heroes today understand how much we value their service, sacrifice, courage, and commitment to our nation. Now, therefore, I, Luke Diaz, Mayor of the City of Verona, in the County of Dane, State of Wisconsin, do hereby designate September 3rd, 2025 as Post-Vietnam Veterans Welcome Home Day in Verona, Wisconsin. All right, we will move on to item 6C, which is appointment of the District 1 alderpersons. Before the council debates it, we are going to give each candidate the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. I'm going to just pick candidates based on the order of that they are in the packet. And the first person in the packet is Beth Foss. If you'd like to come up and speak for 3 minutes.
Sure. Hi, I'm Beth Voss, and I'm applying for the...
Is the microphone on?
Yes. Should I sit? Sorry.
Yeah, if you could. You don't have to, but it's better on the recording.
Okay. I'm Beth Foss, and I'm applying for the District 1 Alder appointment. I have experience talking at public comment over several years. I also ask questions about action items of council members outside of the meeting times. I've attended listening sessions at Parks and City Hall and the library in the past. I would enjoy the chance to engage with other citizens about issues that matter to them and help keep Verona's future growing. I grew up in a rural setting, so when looking for a home in Madison about 20 years ago, I picked Verona for the small town feel and the beautiful countryside. It had recreational paths, green spaces, local businesses. I'm not all anti-chain, but local businesses were beautiful and reasonable prices, so I could afford a first-time house. I wanted to buy for the investment and be rooted in the community. I also attended a larger school district when I was growing up, so the appeal of Madison's opportunities close by also appealed to me. It meant I could be near it, but not have to live in it. It felt like the perfect balance for now, where I was in my life as a single woman, and then where I wanted to raise a family for the future, and I have enjoyed. With the growth of Epic and other businesses comes many opportunities to invest in growth and infrastructure in the new and existing areas of the city. I would enjoy helping to shape the future of Verona and planning ahead. I feel like I have strong communication skills to engage others and build community. My resume and my answers to the questions give you more history on that. If the council is looking for an alder to engage their district, be involved in growing Verona to be a fiscally responsible place, along with looking for ways to build up the community fiscally and socially, then I think I'm the woman for the job. Thanks.
Thank you. Next in the packet is Alejandro Hernandez.
Can you hear me all right? All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Alejandro Hernandez, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. It truly is an honor. And I want to start by acknowledging the great work that you all have been doing to improve our city. I am someone who chose Verona as a home, and as you can tell, I'm a young professional, so I moved here for Epic, as some of you may have guessed. So I really understand what drives people and what draws them to this area when they're making that decision. So there are other factors that play a role into that decision of where you're going to live once you take a new opportunity, whether it be Epic or anything in this area. And I think that one of those big driving factors, at least for me and many of my colleagues, is having a walkable, bikeable city that has access to reliable public transportation. And that may be because we're coming from college towns that have that. So we are used to having that as part of our day-to-day. I am a year-round biker, so I experience every change to our public transportation system. I feel every pothole. I'm also, a year-round biker, but also a bus commuter when it rains, when it snows. So it really is a personal issue for me, and that's what drives that commitment to making Verona a more walkable, bikeable city for everyone. Another thing that I see as an opportunity for us is to support our local businesses. I think that obviously with Epic's growth, we get new hires every month, and I think that there is abundant opportunity for Verona to capture them as future residents, and not only to become renters, but also future homeowners in this area. So I think that I have that expertise in that area, and I can bring that to the table. And another thing that I have done, at least in my time here in Verona, is encourage people that I work with to really explore the local businesses that we have in the area. I'm the fungineer for my team at Epic, and I have hosted team happy hours at Orchard, for example, the new restaurant that opened in the area, or just more casual gatherings at Los Atlantes by Miller & Sons. And that's not only because I'm a biker and it's more convenient for me, it's because I want my friends and colleagues to contribute to creating this vibrant local economy here. Because I do think that right now, the pace at which Epic is growing, I'm not seeing that reflected fully, I think, in at least when I go out into Verona, as it compares to Madison, for example. So I think that we have the potential to capture those future residents that will move here as Epic continues to grow. And I'm excited for the possibility to work with you all. And regardless of the outcome, I'm excited to see that change in Verona in the years to come. So thank you.
Thank you. Next in the packet is Melissa Keller.
Hi, thanks for having me here tonight. I know you guys all read my resume, so you know what I look like on paper. A little bit more about me as a person, though. I am a Madisonian and chose to move here with my family, which wasn't even a family at the time that I decided to move here. I am an educator at heart, so I always say that I'm a recovering academic, because I did many years of graduate school at UW before deciding that I wanted to enter the professional workplace. So I love to learn about things. I have kind of a ravenous need to always get my questions answered and dig and find, which is well suited for my career, and also I think would make me an asset to the team, because I would be looking for those information, and I'm not afraid to ask the sometimes stupid yet also very challenging questions that folks need to know the answer to. I don't make a lot of assumptions. I like to hear it and research it for myself. Relative to my time in Verona, I've worn many hats. I've gone from just one half of a married couple. I've become a parent of two while living in Verona. Now I'm become a empty nester. of two, also in Verona. So I've been through a number of life cycles and worn different hats in the community, as well as being part of different activities in the community for my job and also just for fun. So I feel like I have a well-rounded knowledge of what the challenges are on a broad sense for Verona, what we're facing. I've so enjoyed my time here, so I would love to be able to have the chance to contribute moving forward. And now I have the time because I'm an empty nester. So thanks so much.
Thank you. And then next in the packet is Tom Zahalka. And let me know if I pronounce.
Zahalka, yeah.
Zahalka, okay.
Perfect. All right. Okay, thanks everybody for having me. My name is Tom Zahalka. I live over in Westridge Estates near Epic. I've lived there since 2014 with my lovely wife Lindsay and our 4 boys, ages 8, 7, and 3. So they keep us pretty busy. They all attend Core Knowledge School here in town where my wife and I are on the fundraising committee. I also coach soccer and flag football as well. A little bit about my history and background. I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville in 2007 with a building construction management degree. I spent my first 3 years out in Colorado Springs, Colorado, working for Hensel Phelps, working on Fort Carson, doing some work for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And then later I built the Denver Justice Center up in Denver for the city and county of Denver. But my wife and I were using all of our vacation to come home to Wisconsin, of course. So in 2010, we decided to move home. I moved back to the Milwaukee area where I worked for KPH Construction for 4 years as a project manager. For them, our big clients were the Veterans Affairs Veterans Affairs hospitals, both in Illinois and Wisconsin, and then also the Air National Guard of Wisconsin at the Milwaukee Airport. But then in 2014, my wife got a job with Duluth Trading Company in their creative department, and so we moved to Verona. Since then, I've worked for Myron Construction, starting as a project manager for about 8 years, and then in the last few years, I've moved over to pre-construction. So that's where we're managing the design phase, and we're doing all the pre-planning and kind of baking the project before shovels hit the ground. Clients there, City of Madison, State of Wisconsin, several school districts like Dodgeville, Partyville, Mauston, and then several counties. I did provide a list of projects I've worked on. And then along the way, I dabbled in real estate investing as well. I flipped 10 houses over the course of a couple years. And then during COVID, I got a chance to become a professor of surveying. So I taught at UW-Platteville, the surveying class. So it's kind of cool. I'm teaching a class that I once took. So when I saw the chair open up, I thought, hey, why not me? I'm raising a family here. I'm not going anywhere. This is great. Maybe I can add value to the city. We've experienced a lot of growth over the last 20 years and especially over the last 10 years. And so I want to help everyone manage those symptoms of growth. So a few things that kind of stick out to me, and I put them on the 9 questions. More affordable single-family homes. I'd like to help improve the traffic. Obviously, with growth comes traffic, and how do we manage that? So I'd love to help with that. And then more leisure activities in the city of Verona as well, especially during the winter. We have lots to do in the summer, thankfully, not so much in the winter. And then, of course, keep the tradition going from this board of efficient use of taxpayer dollars and pro-business policies. And so, thank you. Yeah, that's all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry, one last thing. Sorry. In the packet on the fire ordinance, I noticed that there was a typo on the memorandum. It says 2 feet tall, and on the actual letter, it's 1 foot. Minor correction, but don't miss that.
Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. So then we will open this up then to general discussion for the alders to pick. The council, of course, has the option to appoint someone basically right now, and they would be sworn in. And they could come up here and immediately start serving, or we could wait till a later meeting if people need more time to think about it. I think there's a lot of good candidates, and so I'm just going to, at some point after the discussion, maybe take a straw poll and see where people are at candidates-wise. I've tried to do instant runoff voting, and it seemed like it confused everyone. So we'll try to do it a little bit more informally and see where we end up. So I'd open it up to comments from the council. Alder Humke.
Can we ask questions?
Mr. Clymer, can we ask questions? Okay. Yes.
I have a handful. Mr. Zahalka, could you come up in it? Okay. So first of all, I just want to say, like, I have been in your shoes. I sat there and had to answer these questions and give this thing. So I really appreciate the thoroughness in which you prepared the questions and that you came up here and gave your commentary. In one of your responses, you suggest that we're at risk of being a transient community. I would love to hear from you what that means. What does a transient community member mean to you? Like, what kind of job do they have? What kind of demographic?
So, thank you. Yeah, good question. So what does that mean? So in my mind, it's somebody who moves to Verona with no intention of contributing anything, and they know they're going to be here for a little while and leave. Saw that issue in college in Platteville. All of the problems that we ever dealt with in Platteville seem to deal with people who live there temporarily, like namely students. That they took up most of the police force time, stuff like that. So I just, part of the housing thing that I was suggesting is, affordable single-family homes, not McMansions, for, families to come and move here. Full disclosure, I would have a very difficult time affording my own house right now. I live in a house that I wouldn't buy because it's just above, and I make a decent salary, but I'm too, it's high. So, so just how do we promote more people to move to this community that want to stay here and contribute?
Yeah, so you reference problematic people. I just want to understand what that means here.
So problematic, are you talking about at the Verona High School?
You are suggesting that we have problematic people that live in Verona, and I just want you to define what that looks like.
So basically that's, and full disclosure, it's word of mouth. So we see, we live not too far from the high school. I'm at the high school all the time, bringing my kids to swimming lessons and wrestling lessons. I once walked past the social stairs going up to the wrestling room where a student in front of my kindergartner dropped trowel and exposed himself to everybody. Obviously we just move away, I didn't say anything, that kind of thing. But we've had several babysitters over the years as well that have attended that high school. And I hear all about the issues that come up, the fights, the gangs, the misbehavior in the single-use student restrooms. They all have to be locked down now. So when we go to wrestling practice, I have to get the coach to unlock the bathroom door. Perhaps if we had more extracurriculars, especially during the winter, like that incident was in wrestling practice, maybe that would alleviate, give youth something to do. I mean, we were all teenagers once. You misbehave when you're a teenager. And it helps just to have them not so bored, I guess.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I would be curious if you know how much the average price of a one-bedroom apartment in Verona costs.
Average price of
to rent it a month.
To rent. I haven't shopped for apartments in a while. I would roughly say $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess transient people that you're describing, probably problematic people, may or may not be able to afford, if I'm gauging what you're trying to communicate.
So it is. So I didn't put transient and problematic in the same bucket, I guess, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, because okay.
So transient is fine. Like all the people who work for Epic, they need someplace to live, of course. Totally understand that. So the problems at the high school, in my mind, are not related to renters. They're related to youth.
Okay, so I'm curious what our culture is if Epic folks are considered transient and they don't take ownership of our culture. What does that mean? Because I heard him say that he is organizing, Epic folks who live here. So I'm curious. I would like to understand what they do not take ownership of the culture of our community. What are they not owning about our culture?
I'm sure we don't want to lump everybody into buckets, obviously. I'm sure some people immerse themselves in Verona, have long-term plans, all that stuff. But in the aggregate, in the general, in the averages, It seems to be that people who own their homes the longest on average do have kids in the school district and are, building roots, I guess you could say. So, once, sure, if your plans is to build roots, great. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-apartment. So for example, in Dane County, especially when I was investing in real estate, the vacancy rate was 2%. 2 to 4%, depending on the area. It's supposed to be around 7 or 8% for like a healthy, vacancy units, repaint, recarpet, swap the person. So with all that demand, totally get the apartments. It was a need.
Yeah.
But I would just, like if my wife and I ever wanted to move to a different spot in Verona, I don't know if we could do it.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yep. I'm curious if there's a reason that when you reference kids that come to school in Verona that don't live here, I'm wondering if there's a reason you did not mention the non-Verona high school students at Impact Christian High School.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
There's multiple high schools here in Verona. There's the public high school up the street, and there's Impact Christian High School that's down the street.
Impact Christian.
You referenced people that don't live here from the public high school, but I'm curious why you didn't reference the kids at Impact Christian High School as being
I
problematic.
apologize. I wasn't thinking of Impact Christian.
Okay.
Because Verona High School is the one where I have experience being in the building.
Sure.
I've never been to the other one.
Okay, so your concern, just to clarify, is from one incident at the high school and secondhand knowledge from your babysitters.
I also saw a pretty brutal fight outside of Quick Trip once. And then I've had several babysitters, like I said, talk about the gangs and violence and how they don't feel safe in school. And,
Thank you.
yeah. So.
That's all I have for you. I have a question for Ms. Voss, then I don't,
Sorry, my mic's not on. I guess we're in the question phase. So does anyone else have any questions? Or we can go back to Alder Homke. Okay, Alder Homke.
Beth, could you just go? I have a quick question for you. In your responses, you state that when you traveled to DC and you were reflecting on your experiences with different, representatives, think tanks, and PACs. Can you let us know the names of those people that you went and talked to in DC?
Oh, gosh. That'd be 25 years ago. It also gets blurry in my head, for full disclosure, because I also went back and staffed and photographed for that group for another 2 or 3 years. So I remember seeing Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, Paul Ryan, Herb Cole, Tammy Baldwin. PACs would involve Planned Parenthood, different embassies. I remember the Mexican and Croatian and several different embassies. I would actually have to think harder if you need more examples than that.
No, that's fine.
Our goal of that class was to show both sides of everything, so our teacher was very specific that we could not have a one-sided argument. So if you had one PAC from one side, he wanted to see another PAC. And we, of course, had to include our, I grew up in Janesville, so the Janesville representatives that were also there.
So it wasn't, okay, I think I misunderstood the answer to your response then, because I think it was part of a classroom that you went to, it wasn't on a self-directed
No,
visit.
there
Okay.
was a group, my AP government class went.
Okay.
And then they sent us all out to do our own individual,
Okay.
because we all had different areas of
Interesting.
study.
Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Other questions? Or people can just start with comments as well if we have thoughts. Alder Harrison.
I can start just by saying, this is really vague. I didn't feel like this was, I don't think this should be the first thing we say, but I hope it starts conversation. I really like the experience that Ms. Keller and Mr. Zahalka bring to the table. Personally, it shows me that they've, got practical experience that would apply here, and that seems promising to me.
Okay. Other thoughts from the council? Alder Tucker Long.
I just want to say for candidate Hernandez. I think you sound amazing. Like, I wish I had my life put together back at your stage. Yeah, I would love to have the viewpoint of a non-car user in here. The only concern I have is having 2 Epic employees on council could lead to some quorum issues. Especially like today when we have 1 member attending virtually, and then if we had 2 people who had to recuse themselves, suddenly we're really down on voting. So I'm not sure if that would actually be a problem. I don't know if,
Would it be a problem if we had to, okay.
yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So that's my only resignation on that. So, which I don't fault you for at all. Just wanted to find out how that would affect things. Yeah, I think candidate Keller to the communications side of things would be really interesting. And I love the education side of things because, I mean, a lot of what we do is educating the public on what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish, but also it involves a lot of communicating with people. That's like 90% of our job here is communicating, listening, and talking, and mostly listening, we try, but yeah. So I think that sounds good too.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Lytle, then Alder Humke.
Well, I'm assuming this is a message that all of you will get multiple times, but, having been on a citizen committee for a long period before coming to council, and kind of sitting in your shoes, applying for an open council seat, which I did not get. I had the luxury of not having to do this in a public meeting. It was previous processes that the city was using. So, I mean, any ability to get all 4 of you more involved with the city of Verona, I think each of you has a great perspective that we would benefit from. I don't know if you've looked, since only one of you will be selected, if any of you have looked at, some of the other boards and commissions that the city has. I think raising your hands for those, in addition to some of you all are already involved in other community organizations. However the voting comes out, I would hope all of you would look for those opportunities as well. So just sharing that perspective, and also, kind of echoing some other comments that the council members had made in terms of, kind of looking at this group and trying to, balance out other skill sets that folks have in their daily jobs and how that complements the folks that are already on the council. I see some of you really being able to be a complement that way. And just thanks for coming, and thanks for showing the interest.
Alder Humke, and then myself.
Yeah. We are such like a growing, Verona is like one of the fastest growing communities. And one of the things that I feel like it would be a huge asset is like a communications background. We have a very diverse council. We don't have someone who has that. I had someone say next week previously who did have that experience. I think it's super helpful as we evolve and are like hitting that next level of government size. And I think there's a lot of things that come with that. I just feel like Melissa's application, like her experience and depth of her experience, is really significant to the value she could add. As I'm sure you gathered from I do feel like I need to like comment on my line of questioning, because I do feel like it will look like I unfairly called you out. But I do want to note that I do feel like there was a lot of coded language and othering in your responses. And I really struggle with that, because the concept of like people of certain types don't belong here, or we only want single houses, or we don't want this and we don't want that. I actually feel like the more of a lot of things that we have, the better community that we are, and we are growing, and that's going to happen because it's better for our community, it's better for our tax. It's actually more fiscally responsible to have more density. And I have loved to see how this community grows. And being on council, I've had more exposure to it, and I would echo kind of what Alder Lytle has said, right? Being involved in actually like seeing what those things are is really important. I've learned a lot from this experience. And I just have to comment that like I have 2 high schoolers at the Verona High School. They do not feel the same way as the comments that you made. And I would encourage you to get other experiences maybe at the high school that are more better than what you have experienced so far. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, just calling on myself real quick. I just wanted to make a side note that the Verona City website has a spot under boards and commissions for mayoral appointments. There's an application. There are currently no openings now, but there could be openings in the future. Sometimes people move, resign, whatever. And so if you're interested in being in committee, fill it out. No promises, but we can always use. It's always nice to have a good stack of names ready to go. Other thoughts from the council? Oh, I can see Alder Swanson virtually.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to run through a couple of comments on each of the candidates, sort of all in a row. I feel a little bad sort of holding judgment of anyone because I'm not there to say it to their faces. So I'm going to try and be as respectful as I can about it, which I don't think it'll be a problem. But if anyone feels concerned about what I have to say, please, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm just going to go through each of you in order. Ms. Foss, I think that a lot of what you bring in terms of the coordination is something that appeals to me. I think that would be important in terms of working with the council. That stands out to me as definitely a positive strength for you. At the same time, I'm a little hesitant because I don't see a whole lot of really concrete things here that I'm on the same page as you as far as our goals and objectives as a city. So that's the one thing I'm hesitant about as far as your qualifications. Mr. Hernandez, I think your resume looks a lot better than mine, and we're about the same age. I think you're even younger. And it'd be nice to have some other more youthful representation on city council. At the same time, one of my big hesitations is the comment noted earlier about the collision of having too many EPIC representatives, and also your relative newness to the area. I'd like to see you involved in a couple more distinct areas first before jumping up to the council. But we do have a lot of commonalities in terms of our goals for the city, and I really appreciate what you've expressed with some of those things in terms of growth and mobility. Mrs. Keller, I'm going to echo. I really like the communications aspect that you bring. I think that is underrepresented on the council. We do have phenomenal communications staff with the city already. Our head of that, Mara, helped walk me through making sure I had some stuff set up for tonight, earlier today, in fact. So I know that the city can definitely act on that potential that you would bring really effectively in coordinating with that kind of thing. So I think that really makes a difference as well. Yeah, I honestly, I don't really have any reservations about you, which I feel a little bad sort of elevating you like that, but I like a lot of what you have to say. Mr. Zahalka, I think that you are eminently qualified. The one thing that I think really stands out about what you'd bring is that you have sort of this engineering perspective that would align a lot with what your predecessor brought to the table. Mr. Braithwaite had a lot of that sort of similar experience in terms of the public and civil engineering as well. That being said, I also have similar reservations as Alder Helmke in terms of some of the language that you used. And similarly, I work at the high school, and I'm horrified by that story that you related about that student. And I would, I'm literally at a loss for words about how to express my disappointment with hearing that you had that experience. that is not my experience by and large in the community. And I would hope that you would be able to get a broader perspective, and I'd be concerned about you bringing that sort of narrow experience to the table. Thank you. That concludes what I have to say.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Weiss and Alder Tucker-Long.
I just, I don't have any lengthy comments at all, but I just wanted to say thank you to each of the candidates that put in the applications. I found your answers to be really thorough and complete. It was obvious that there's a lot of care that went into providing the answers, and thank you very much. Of you four, there isn't anyone that I would, they're like, no, you must not be on the council. Like you're all clearly qualified, and I think would really contribute in a positive way to being on the council. So thank you for throwing your hat in the ring, and I appreciate it.
Alder Tucker-Long.
So I have a question for all four of you, and you can all decide which order you come up and answer it in. I'll leave that to you. But one of the things that we often have to do is we have to take something in, evaluate it, and then we have to give, our viewpoint publicly in front of everyone about a topic. And this is something we have to do all the time, whether we agree or don't agree. We need to be able to sort of say that out loud, I guess. And so I guess I'm wondering if I could put the question out to all of you. One of the things that was something our council has done that is very unique is that we made the commitment to fly the Pride flag for the entire year instead of just for Pride Month this year. And, there were a lot of different opinions about that on the council and within the community, and I'm wondering if each of you could just share your thoughts on that with us.
I guess we could just go in the same order that the people spoken, if you want to.
Joking, I should have kept my maiden name. I was lower in the alphabet. So for those who were here when that was passed, I actually spoke up during public comment about the flags. And I guess that was part of why I decided to run. Knowing that it is important to speak up, and I'm still here. Like, I know that we disagreed, and I think that's okay. But I think you also needed to hear from someone who didn't agree with you. Because in calling other people, many of my neighbors were not willing to show up. It is intimidating knowing this is on YouTube and that people are hearing you, and knowing that I have a family, it does scare me occasionally. This was one of my concerns, knowing that I'm on record now, and it's been in the paper and filed that I am against the Pride flag. And that scares me a little bit because my family could deal with the consequences of me speaking up. But also to go with that is that I think it's important. Nothing changes if no one speaks up. And you have just as much right to speak up and say that you think it was needed. It was super helpful. I talked to Tucker-Long and Helmke about this just recently, and I was super inspired hearing your stories. And actually, what I really appreciated was you asking me better questions back. And that's what I enjoyed. And I see that frequently on the council, asking harder questions that maybe I don't have a good answer or I disagree with you on. But then working on the next project together, because there are more than one factor. So yes, there is a Pride flag, and I do disagree against flying it. And mostly because I find that it can be divisive, and I find that some people are afraid then to stand up and speak their mind, thinking that they are not, they maybe are being persecuted the same way that other people have felt in the past by not flying the flag. So it's just kind of a flip, I guess I see. So I am not for flying it in the future. I know that it's been an issue. I have talked to some veterans, and they feel it's against, it's not dishonoring, but lowering their status, knowing that the Pride flag is flying next to their armed forces and what their friends have died for. So part of that, I also want to honor all generations and people who have served, whether or not you agree with the wars and such. So I am willing to speak up, and I guess I'm also willing to talk to people who I know disagree with me, and I still want to work with them because I don't know a lot of things. I've learned this raising children, I don't know a lot. And so there's way more that I need to learn about everything. So I welcome the chance to hear from people who I don't know, and I will speak up. So thank you.
Thank you. Alejandro.
Hello. I'm actually really glad you asked that question. When I first moved here, I noticed the flag. I am bisexual myself. And I disagree on the comment about the veterans and how having that flag there dishonors them. I think that, obviously I wasn't alive for this, but when our veterans fought the Nazis, for example, who were incarcerating LGBTQ people in Europe, I think that this flag really shows where we have come as a nation and what we stand for in the global politics and how we, as the United States, stand for freedom. And I think that whether the flag is up there or not, I'm here, and my colleagues at EPIC that are a part of the LGBTQ at EPIC group still exist, whether the flag is there or not. And I think that in having it there, we show them that their presence here is welcomed. So I think that back to the theme of capturing that flow of new residents, I think that if it's definitely not pushing people away from Verona. Obviously, I don't have any data to say that having it there is bringing people here, but if I had to guess, I would say yes. Of course, that's just anecdotal and based on my group of friends, but I am willing to speak on issues that are controversial, and it's okay that it's on the record. I have no problem with that. So I will do that with any issue that is brought to the council. So, yeah. And I actually did want to comment on the time commitment and EPIC traveling.
That is off topic.
That's
so
okay. I don't
I'm
have
gonna-
to then.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Melissa?
Well, I basically spend my entire career telling people and educating people about things that sometimes might be unpopular on a corporate level. So you can have things that the vice president needs to say or needs to express, or the CEO, or someone lower on the totem pole, and it's up to me and my team to help share why it's happening, get buy-in, get everyone on the same page about something that may be controversial. So it's something that I do all the time and I get paid to do. So talking about a pride flag would not throw me in the least. In fact, it's something that our company is very in favor. We have a whole associate resource group devoted to, it's called 2BU, and it's just for inclusive, making sure that there's a community for folks who are on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, so to speak. So I love the fact that the pride flag is up more than just 1 month. I think it's wonderful that everyone feels welcome here, because we're a community where I think we're better together. That diversity crosses many lines, but it's important that we're all here and that everyone can see and know in their hearts that they belong here and that they're welcome. So I am all in favor of having a pride flag up 12 months out of the year, 13 if we had them. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Tom?
All right. So yeah, no, good topic. My brother is bisexual. My sister-in-law is studying gender studies to get her doctorate in that. So I feel I'm, somewhat well-versed on the subject. So when people ask me what my political affiliation is, I really don't have one that I subscribe to. It's I want the Democrats out of my wallet and I want the Republicans out of my bedroom. And I think that's the way it should be for everybody. I have solar panels on my house, for example, so it's not just a one-issue voter thing for me. The problem with the flag, in my mind, is that the subject is adult sexual preference. Okay, it's not that people aren't equal. They absolutely are. They have all the protections of the law as everybody else does. In my mind, there's no difference between people like that. But flying the flag, if 7-year-old says, "What's the flag?" Well, it's out of respect for gay rights and everything. What's gay? And then all of a sudden now we're having the conversation. I guess inconvenience for me. Well, but that's the only thing. It's kind of like, okay, in principle, you could fly any flag then. To be in fairness of any one side that wants to fly a flag to support their cause, regardless of cause. So that's what stopped me flying. I mean, if people want to fly it on their own front porches, go for it. I'll salute it. I just don't think it needs to be on public buildings and paid for by taxpayer dollars. Just to, like I said, the subject matter is adult sexual preferences. And so that's why I would have an issue with that one. But that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Other comments? All right. Oh, did you have your hand raised? No. Oh, sorry. If no one else has any comments, we will do. I guess we'll do a roll call vote. Go around the room and see where people are at as for who they're voting for. If someone has a majority, I guess we can proceed from there. If nobody has a majority, we can do another round. Alder Host.
Clarifying question. Are we, is this person be sworn in today and sit on council? Or are we going to give this like a week or two, or?
They can be sworn in right now. So
Can we maybe give it some time? It seems,
I mean, are you suggesting waiting to the next meeting in July to vote, or to have them
we can
sworn
vote
in?
now, but
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that seems a little more appropriate.
Okay. I mean, I guess they haven't seen the packet. I guess you could argue. Alder Weiss.
I was going to second Alder Hoek's idea that maybe tonight is just throwing somebody into the deep end of the pool, like all in one shot, and maybe a little bit of time to get mentally prepared would be helpful for
Okay.
participation.
If that's the general understanding of the council, if that would be a better way. Alder Harrison?
Sure. So my understanding of this was not that we were going to ask them to come up today, right? Just that they can. I don't think that it would be bad to give whoever, ends up. I think they can have the choice.
Okay. We'll leave it as whoever gets picked choice. Okay. Are we ready to go around and do the roll call vote? Does everyone feel ready, or Alder Tucker Long? What are we voting? Who to pick for the appointment. Okay, so we should say the person we want. Yes. Okay. Yep. Any other questions?
That's my comment, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yep. I think I've been through 2 of these, maybe more. It's not enjoyable, just so we know, right? So it's quite like the most awkward thing ever. I wish there was a better way we could do it, but I appreciate that you guys are willing to get involved, because a lot of times we have folks that are running unopposed all the time, and nobody else is stepping up, and nobody else is even volunteering. I have folks in my district who have no care or concern until something affects their house, and then it's too late, right? So I appreciate that you guys all came, showed up, spoke up, but this is not enjoyable, and it's like an awkward dating show. So I am not enjoying this, just to make it clear, and that's all I can say. Thank you.
It is like, doing a job interview in public where everyone can watch you. Alder Tucker Long.
Yeah, I wanted to make one more comment too. Yes, thank you all 4 of you for coming. It is incredibly hard to put yourself out there. I still get nervous getting up here and talking in front of everyone, and I've been doing it now for, 10 years or something, but yeah, and not on council, but in all the committees and everything. So yeah, thank you. It's really hard to put yourself out there, but it means so much to the community. It's really important. And I just want all of you to know that I hope all of you feel safe arguing with us and disagreeing with us, because I want everyone in our community to feel safe. And if anybody disagrees with me, if there are any neighbors of anyone out there who disagree but didn't feel comfortable talking, I want everyone to know that we want to hear from you, even if you disagree with us. And, it's our job to listen, and we make better decisions when we have more people to listen to. So, everybody out there, please talk to us. All right, thanks.
Any other comments before the vote? All right, with that, if Clerk Lick would read the roll.
Alderperson.
Can I clarify? You're not
sure.
actually voting just yet. Right now, you're just taking a straw poll.
Taking
and
a straw
If it turns
poll.
out if you believe that you have a majority, then somebody would make a motion.
Then somebody would make a motion.
Okay.
Okay. But I mean, it would pass because, if they've got 4 votes or whatever, then it's going to pass. Okay. Sorry, Alder Takarlan? Did you?
I was just clarifying, so this is a straw poll, not a roll call.
I guess technically, yes, but it would be easier if the clerk, because I don't know whose turn it is, and I don't want to start at this end or that end, so.
Sounds good. Alderperson Harrison.
I'm in favor of Ms. Keller.
Alderperson Helmke.
Ms. Keller.
Alderperson Host.
Ms. Keller.
Alderperson Lytle.
Ms. Keller.
Alderperson Swanson.
Ms. Keller.
Alderperson Tucker Long.
Keller.
And Alderperson Weiss.
Ms. Keller.
Okay, well, that was anticlimactic. I guess I would entertain a motion to appoint Melissa Keller to the vacant District 1 Alder seat. Alder Tucker Long.
I move that we appoint Melissa Keller to the vacant Alder seat.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long, is there a second?
Second.
I think that was Alder Hoxt. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of appointing Melissa Keller to the vacant District 1 Alder seat signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Congratulations. Not to put you on the spot, but do you want to be sworn in and come up here right now, or do you want to do the meeting in 2 weeks? Okay.
Okay, if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Missy Keller,
Having been appointed as District 1 Alderperson
having been appointed District 1 Alderperson
for the City of Verona,
for the City of Verona,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of Alderperson
of Alderperson
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Okay, and again, I just want to thank everyone who put their name forward. I know this isn't easy, and I do agree a lot with what Alder Hoke said about it being an awkward process. The city's had different processes, and it has also not gone great either, and maybe it's just a function of the way it works. But again, I want to thank everyone for putting their name out there. I know it's not easy. Do you want to take a recess? No. With that, we'll move on to 6D, which is the District 1 Alderperson Committee appointments. These are appointing, this would appoint Alder Keller to Public Works and to the Library Board. So if anyone would like to make a motion to confirm those appointments, that would be great.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Homke, is there a second? Second. Seconded by Alder Tucker Long. All those in favor of the District 1 Alderperson Committee appointments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
Aye.
Congratulations on your new committees. That concludes mayor's business. Phew. With that, we'll move on to item 7, which is announcements. Any announcements from the council? Seeing no announcements, we move on to item 8, which is the administrator's report. Mr. Alec.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few things. First, Mark Wagner is here in the audience tonight. If you want to come up, Mark, and introduce yourself just real quick. He's our new Parks and Urban Forestry Director. So. Mark, did you just want to quick introduce yourself?
Sure. So yes, I'm Mark Wagner. Started today.
Is the microphone on?
Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay. Yeah, so I started today I'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's a good start. And I'm really looking forward to being here. A little bit about myself. I spent 13 years as the Forester and Conservancy Lands, the Assistant Director for the City of Middleton in the Parks and Rec Department. Also worked for a period of time for the Village of Shoreward Hills as their forester as well. Master's degree in urban forestry and urban ecology. Undergrad was horticulture, both from UW-Madison. Spent some time overseas as well. And complete 180, I spent the last year and a half as a substitute teacher at Edgewood Campus School. I actually got to be in my daughter's classroom for a number of days, making her cringe, trying to use the kids' slang and watching her sink under her desk as I did so. So, you know, it's fun. I'm glad to be back. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And everybody that I've met and interacted with today has been great. And yeah, this is going to be fun. So I look forward to getting to know all of you and seeing what Verona all has. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming back tomorrow. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Other announcements. We are on the second round of a grant for 4 EV charging stations, one at Verona Public Library, one at City Hall, one at the city lot behind the Sauzier, and lastly, the Ice Arena parking lot. This is through Dane County, called Charge Up Dane County. And so we submitted 4 applications, and 4 of them made it to the next round. And basically, they pay for everything. They pay for the station, the install, and they maintain it for 5 years, and then it's given over to the city. So that's how that works. So hopefully, those keep advancing, and we get some charging stations. I talked to Ms. Trusty, our communications manager, and there is capacity if you have a official social media account that you use for the city to conduct business with residents. We can archive in our program your social media accounts. So if you have an official alderperson, you know, so-and-so account that you're just doing city business and informational posts, definitely not campaign-related stuff, but city information posts, we can take your account on in our archiving program. So we'll offer that to you as an option. So just so you know.
I have a question on that.
Yep.
Based on the Wisconsin Open Records Law, I know you said offering, but is this the thing we should just be doing and that alders should have to do it?
I guess that's a strong recommendation that you should be doing it, Mayor.
We're offering the opportunity to follow the law, so you should consider taking it. But this is something that's been an oversight at the city level. I've had an official mayoral Facebook page. We only post city stuff, and I never thought to have it rolled into the official things because it was just something I did as a service to the people of Verona. But I hadn't thought of it, and so, in a variety of discussions about archiving and social media and things like that, light bulb went off, and I'm like, I don't think I'm the only one either. So we'll get them all under the banner, and they can be archived properly.
Just go through to me to coordinate it. We'll get you set up. It's here. You're all invited to ribbon cutting at the Art House on August 18th at 10 a.m. So Kristen wanted me to pass that along. We also updated our sidewalk information section of our city website. So if you just Google Verona sidewalks, we put a lot of time and effort into trying to update people on why we're installing sidewalks and, you know, the whole program that we have for multi-use paths and things like that. So that's been updated. For the EMS intergovernmental agreement, that's still ongoing in the town and the town of Verona, city of Fitchburg. So I have no update on that. Just the other 2 municipalities are working through that with their respective board and council. And lastly, just one quick trend I wanted to mention is that, you know, our public works department is doing a great job with maintenance and routine maintenance. There's an area on Cross Country Road just south of Country View Elementary, which was very overgrown. They had cattails, and it's a lot of silt had gone into this stormwater pond to the point where the Public Works Department had to go in there and unplug a bunch of pipes leading into and out of it. So all of a sudden, this place with long overgrown grass and cattails dried out, and our Public Works Department did what they would, what they should be doing, and mowed it, and all of a sudden there were gripes about that because the wildlife had, the habitat for them had basically, we were maintaining our stormwater facility and it went away. So just be aware as we go along, as the Public Works Department continues to ramp up on the routine maintenance, that there may be changes to some areas. If you get questions from constituents, feel free to ask us about that. And that's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Aulick? All right. With that, we'll move on to item 9, engineers report.
Thank you. For the Country View Road project, this is the realignment that's west of Epic. Contractors are working on the roadway, bike path, ponds, and storm sewer. Water, gas, electricity, and communication utilities are being installed along the proposed roads and to neighboring homes. For the Legion Street reconstruction project, construction has started and is scheduled to be completed in the fall. For the North Booster Station project, that's the water booster station, final testing was performed on July 1st and is being processed. Once results confirm project compliance, the project will be complete. For Whispering Coves Phase 1, home building has begun. For Kettle Creek North Phase 8, plans have been approved, and construction is beginning this week. For Ardent Glen Phase 3B, asphalt paving is planned for this week. And finally, for the Apex, which is the former Draeger property, punch list work is underway. Oh, one more thing. SSM Health has their permit, and so they should be starting on their private site as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Fisher? All right. With that, we'll move on to item 10, which is committee reports. First up, we have 10A Finance Committee. Alder Humke.
Yeah, I make a motion for payment of the bills in the amount of $1,286,950.97.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Humke.
Yeah, we have 3 major payments. The first one is to AECom for engineering services in the amount of $179,970. Second is to City of Madison for the quarterly metro fees for the bus of $341,701. And the third is to Danton Construction for payment for Epic Park in the amount of $166,071.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on the motion to pay the bills? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of paying the bills in the amount specified signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no? And that motion passes. Anything further from Finance?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to 10B, which is Public Safety and Welfare Committee. Alder Host.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 25-1068, amending Title 5, Chapter 2, open burning of the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona.
Motion by Alder Host. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Host.
Thank you. The proposed revised ordinance is based on review of other municipal ordinances and feedback from the Public Safety and Welfare Committee meetings. I think we've had this discussion maybe 2 or 3 times. I think we've got it down now. So some of the provisions that we included in this motion was the open burning procedure will be amended as follows. The size of the fire fuel is reduced from 4 feet horizontally to 3 feet. Also reduced from 3 feet vertically to 2 feet vertically.
Should be 1 foot. There was an error caught in the memo. It is 1 foot. Alder Phil. It's all good.
Noted. Smoldering fires are prohibited. All fires must be completely extinguished unless attended. Also, a few other changes to the outdoor fireplaces or chimney regulations include that they must be 10 feet from structures, pallets are prohibited from being burned, and homemade fire pits are also prohibited. I believe the fire department and the police department are in favor of this. I'm getting nods.
Sorry, I just wanted to check something real quick.
Only devices designed and manufactured for the purpose of containing outdoor fires are permitted to be used.
Right. I guess one point of clarification, it doesn't specify homemade fire pits. It just says, if you could.
Yeah. Number 5, E5. It says only devices designed and manufactured for the purposes of containing outdoor fires are permitted to be used. So.
It doesn't include the phrase homemade fire pits.
Correct.
Just to be clear. Sorry for interrupting. Was that was the last?
That's all
part?
I have.
Okay. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Humke.
Yeah, I would like clarification on the penalty side of things. Like we had the public comment, we've had the previous public comment or give written comment that came through today, wanting to understand if she were to call, is it going to be clearly laid out on our website? Is there a clear understanding between the fire department and the police department, how that's going to work, and who's, my understanding is that the police department are the ones that give the tickets. But I just like the clarification on how that all is going to work.
Chief Mahaka, can you come up here? And we had a question about like the logistics of enforcement at the Public Safety Committee. So if you could talk through that.
Absolutely. So the complaints would normally come to the fire department. We've been fielding them for years for that. The hope is that we can go out and solve the issues at that point in time and not have too much involvement with the police side of things. If we can't, then we get the police involved. But yes, you are correct that they would be the ones that would have to issue the citations. We cannot write citations for it.
Okay, so the situation, so like going forward, my understanding based on how this is written is like if the fire department would put it out if the individual was not willing to put it out, like if there was the pallets burning or like.
If we would deem that there's something that is against the ordinance, yes, we'd put it out.
Okay.
And then just to add something that was mentioned at the Public Safety Committee is that Mara Trustee would be helping with some communication efforts with the public as well, just so nobody's caught by surprise when they thought they were following the rules and it turned out they weren't.
Okay, awesome.
Other questions or comments? Alder Weiss.
The fire, the vertical height of the fire, that seems like not being involved with the kind of like how the sausage is made on something like this. I'm concerned that this is a attempt to solve a problem of neighbors not getting along with each other through legislative nitpicking. And I'm concerned that this isn't moving the ball forward in a way that's helpful, and instead it's has the issues that we've had been because of the fact that the fire pit was 3.75 feet in diameter instead of 3, so it met the old regulation, but it didn't meet the new regulation. So now that we have these new legislative tools at hand, we can finally get down to the scourge of backyard fires. Like I really worry that this is a solution in search of a problem, and I just I don't know. Maybe I haven't just been involved enough with the issue at hand, and I'd hate to think that we're letting a handful or even a single member of the community lead us around into rewriting the rules inappropriately. So, thank you.
I guess I have a question for Chief Mahaka and then Alder Harrison. How would the 1 foot thing get enforced? Like, I don't even know how I would measure that.
With tape measure.
Tape measure. Okay, just like just hold it up in the fire.
Right. So, and I believe that the 1 foot is more of the material being burned. I don't think the intention is for the flames to be that. I mean, obviously, if you want to have a 1 foot flame, you're going to be able to have 2 inches of material with that. And just to kind of also follow up on the last question or statement, this is a very tough situation for us to deal with. And yes, a lot of the complaints that we've dealt with over the 15 years that I've been here are a lot of neighbor disputes and so forth. But this does, the adjustments that we've made, knowing they're not perfect, it does give us a little bit more direction, and my staff a little bit more direction so that they can try to, rectify some of the situations that we're having. But, also with the question of, are we going to put the fires out? If we don't think there's anything wrong, I'm not going to direct my staff to put the fire out just because somebody's complaining about their neighbor having a fire. So.
I do have one.
Mr. Alec?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a legit problem that is occurring in Verona where someone is burning pallets, treated pallets, in a 3 foot by 4 foot burning, what do you want, crib?
Cage.
Or something? Cage. So it does come from a source. It's not like we're trying to regulate outdoor burning to regulate it. It is trying to solve a legit problem.
Alder Harrison, and then maybe back to Alder Weiss.
I was basically just going to share the context that that Mr. Olick just did. We've seen a couple of complaints in like the last 2 months about this same sort of thing, and that incident was, permissible with the last ordinance would no longer be permissible now. So just like that context, I have limited context here, but that's what I've got, and I thought that would be worth sharing.
Alder Weiss and Alder Tucker Long.
I can appreciate the fact that there's no perfect set of rules, right? And enforcement is difficult. Writing rules in such a way that you allow the things that are okay and not the things that aren't, and there's gray areas, and I get that that's really challenging. I just think that there's already rules of like. I'm certain that there's currently laws on the books around being a public nuisance. Like there's in burning pallets and doing things that spread noxious fumes around are probably against a variety of different rules that are already on the books for a variety of different reasons. I really doubt that burning pallets inside of city limits in a way that creates noxious fumes that goes, that's bothering other people isn't in violation of other public ordinances already. And if that's not the case, I mean, I don't know, you guys know the law better than I do, obviously, but I just, there's long traditions of like being able to enforce people not doing things that are harming their neighbors, right? I mean, there's ways that we've been able to do this as a society for a long time. And I just really doubt that like trying to do something about the backyard fires and like a 1 foot limit on the material. So like if I stack, I don't know if you're a log cabin person or if you're the teepee person, but I'm a log cabin person, right? So I stack it up, and I'm pretty sure it's higher than a foot, right? So I'm like, now I'm in violation of a city ordinance, and I haven't even opened my first beer yet, and it's just like, man, what are we doing? It just seems profoundly silly to me. But I'll leave it at that. And again, I'm not trying to be too harsh here. I do appreciate that there's been thought and effort that went into this, but I just really I don't think that this is the right direction.
Alder Tucker Long, and then myself.
I have a question first. There are multiple sections in this ordinance. The first is open burning, and section C is open burning procedures. Are the outdoor fireplaces and chimeneas units down in section E, subsection E, are those considered open burning, or are those two different categories with different ordinances applying to them?
How I read this ordinance, Alder Tucker Long, is there's two pieces that are amalgamated together into this one ordinance. The first one is what I would consider to probably be an older ordinance where Verona was smaller and potentially rural. And that's where you have these piles of material up to 4 feet that you could burn. And that's sections A through D. And then I think at some later point, this is speculation, but as I've read through this 50 times, this is how I interpret it. Section E came along later, and that's when people started putting outdoor burning, units outside their home. And so that's I think of the first
Okay, but
two-thirds.
is E a subsection of the outdoor burning or not?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yes.
Alder Tucker Long.
So I understand that E is a subsection of open burning, but are the open burning procedures in C, do they also apply to subsection E, or is subsection E separate? Because C and E are at the same level. Are they self-contained separate instances where C applies to burning not in like a fire pit or a chimney, and E only refers to burning inside of a containment like that.
Yes, that's how I understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
So the 1 foot in C would only apply if you're not burning it in a fire pit or a chimney or some similar type thing. Is that correct?
That's how I understand it.
Okay.
Okay.
The reasoning behind it is that when you're burning in like a chimney or something that you've purchased, they have features of safety, fire safety built into them compared to when you're doing an open burning. We need to be able, there is nothing for the spark arrest and so forth with it.
Okay. And then in section E, subsection E, subsection 2, it says that it must be equipped with screens or constructed with containment systems to prevent the release of embers or sparks. That sounds like something that the average person buying a fire pit at Farm and Fleet is not going to know what that means. How do we know what is considered an appropriate containment system?
I believe the intention, or I shouldn't say I believe, the intention behind it is to limit the amount of sparks that can leave. And where our concern is for that is that when those sparks can leave that fireplace, and then we allow these fireplaces to be closer to homes and so forth at that point in time, now you could start a home on fire with doing it. So
No, I understand the reasoning for it. I'm just trying to figure out what this allows and doesn't allow. And if I'm having trouble after having read it several times of knowing whether or not a certain fire pit or chimney has a containment system, I guess I'm curious how the average citizen is going to be able to tell if they're violating the ordinance or not.
we did talk at the committee level about some public information on it, and I think we can try to educate people with that.
Could you educate me on it right now?
If they need to be covered and they need to be able to contain the sparks is what we're looking for. So they should be designed in such a way that do not allow embers to leave the burning containment system.
Okay, so the intention of sub E, sub 2 is that the fireplaces or chimneys need to be completely enclosed.
I believe that there was some research done that like the solo stoves and so forth, because of the airflows, also help restrict that in their design.
Okay. I just feel like it's very confusing. Like it's hard to, I don't like having ordinances where it's hard for you to know if you're violating it or not. And so I don't know of a better way at the moment to rewrite it, but I'm hesitant to let that go out how it is, because if we're requiring it, like how do people know in advance that they're following the correct rules and aren't going to get fined if the fire department gets sent to their house because a neighbor complained, right? So I would like that to be more clear.
Okay, I got myself then, Alder Lytle. I guess this is a question for Chief Mahaka, but are there any fire pits that are sold that wouldn't meet our requirement? Like, I mean, I know you don't probably have a psychic memory of what's at Blaine's or Dorn or whatever, but like, is there anything like off the shelf that's common? Because my understanding is the spark arrestor system was basically to make it so solar stoves would be allowed. Because previously some iterations included, it said it had to include a screen, which would have banned solo stoves. However, solo stoves do have it. So I guess the intent of this part was to actually loosen up the ordinance a little bit. But is there anything off the shelf that you can think of that would be banned?
I'm sure there is. I mean, because there's nobody has any regulations of what they can and can't sell. So, and, it's also not just a local market anymore. So many people are purchasing off Amazon or whatever that may be. So unfortunately, I can't say that, nobody can just buy anything that wouldn't be okay.
Okay. I guess I'm not an expert in firefighting, but from having gone through Dorn this weekend, everything looked like it would have met the ordinance that was on sale there. I know someone could buy something on Amazon. I know someone could buy a piece of artwork that allows you to burn. There's some very nice ones, except they're $2,500. I'm not quite ready to pull the trigger on that. But I do think that the ordinance, at least as it's written prior to this, is pretty strict. This is going to allow, I think it's going to simplify it, and it loosens up certain parts of it, and it'll allow us to know how to enforce it, and we can come back and tweak it again if we need to. I personally think this is a step forward. I tend to favor less restrictive ordinances because, as referenced by Alder Weiss, people will use them against their neighbors. It's just inevitable. And so we have to make sure they're grounded in public safety or some other kind of positive thing and not just a stick that people can hit their neighbors with. That being said, I think this one will be okay, especially if we do a good job communicating, and perhaps in the process of communicating, we'll get feedback from the public and realize we have to make more changes. I don't think that's unusual. I think it's good to be responsive. I got Alder Lytle, then Alder Keller.
Yeah, it's my first day and I'm already asking a question, but,
Oh, sorry, I had Alder Lytle first.
I
and
know,
then- okay.
sorry.
I have Alder Lytle up in the stack.
Oh, you're going
He's-
first.
he's
Okay,
first,
sorry.
And then you. Sorry, go ahead.
All good. I'll hold this against you for the rest of the time we work together.
That's totally fair.
I want to echo your comments. I do think this still maybe could be exploited in a vindictive way if people were trying to catch their neighbors, but I think in general it's a big improvement. I think, like you said, there's room for tweaks, but I do think pushing this off, we're doing a disservice to the folks that are struggling with our current ordinance, and so I'd be in favor of moving forward with this one tonight and still looking at potential to get some public feedback and tweak it if we need to in the future.
Alder Keller.
Okay, now I can talk. My only, in just reviewing this before this meeting was, I did question whether or not whether or not my solo stove was going to be allowable if you were going to show up in my yard. And the other thing was the permit authorizing each fire. Like, I didn't know if that would be confusing to constituents relative to because of the way that this is laid out, am I going to be like, well, I want to burn something, I want to set up my solo stove this weekend, do I need a permit for that? And I'm thinking no, because it's under open burning, but the whole ordinance is titled open burning, so it's I find it a little confusing.
Alder Humke.
Yeah, when we're talking about communicating to the public, I think it would also be, I know you talked about Mara putting together social media stuff, but if we could put maybe also like a press release to the paper so that they articulate this the correct way, so we don't get because I think that it seems like there are some like disjoints here, and so making sure that we have like the right messaging about how we want to communicate it would be really helpful. That'd be my only comment.
I think that's a really good idea. Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll call the question. All those in favor of ordinance number 25-1068, amending Title 5, Chapter 2, open burning of the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
And that motion passes with Alder Weiss voting no. Alder Host.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 25-1069, creating Title 10, Chapter 1, Section 34, parking reserved for electric vehicle charging of the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona.
Motion by Alder Host. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Host.
Thank you. For parking spaces reserved for electric vehicle charging, essentially, I won't bore you with the lengthy detail. You're not supposed to, or you're not allowed to park a electric vehicle and not be actively charging it, and you're not allowed to park a non-electric vehicle at all. So it's similar to parking in a handicap stall, and I am told that is going to be enforced the same way.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing, Alder Lytle.
I have to ask, and I don't know if the people who are able to answer this are here, but a vehicle goes through a charging cycle. The charging cycle is complete, and you can see that it's turned, the green light's turned off, the blue light's turned off. Like, does that mean immediately that vehicle is parked illegally?
No.
Like, how do we, is there a given grace period? Because I've run into this renting EVs. I feel bad, like, oh, I thought this was going to take overnight to charge, and it sat there for 3 hours taking up the space. I'm just curious.
And just to try and answer that, that's really the discretion of the officer. Typically, you'd feel the complaint, you go over, you verify it, okay, oh, here we are now, how many hours later? It's really up to the officer, to make that determination. So I think our police department has good common sense, and they would do their due diligence.
Other questions or comments? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 25-1069, creating Title 10, Chapter 1, Section 34, parking reserved for electric vehicle charging of the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Hoxt.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 25-021, naming private roads for 911 purposes at 1979 Milky Way.
Motion by Alder Hoxt. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going to ask, before I hear that, Mr. Clymer, can he second that?
I understand that it is related to Epic roads, but I do not benefit fiscally from this decision, so I don't think I have a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I think this one's probably a little bit more public safety, public general welfare issues. 'Cause
Okay.
my understanding is just relates to 911 calls and why
Okay.
we're identifying the roads.
So it's in the interest of public safety and not in Epic's necessary.
It's not like an annexation or a zoning decision or, land division or even a rule an ordinance that we'd be putting in place that would really deal with operations. This is 911 in nature is my understanding. So I think it'd be fine.
Excellent. Thank you for the clarification. All right, seconded by Alder Harrison. Alder Hoxt.
Thank you. In the interest of public safety, this resolution adds private road names with an Epic, which makes it easier and quicker for emergency vehicles to locate an emergency. Staff recommend approval.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on the motion? Alder Humke.
Yeah, I'm curious, more just, this is out of curiosity, like we've had these come up. Is it just sort of as the buildings are being built and finalized? Is that sort of like how yes. Okay, great, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 25-021, naming private roads for 911 purposes at 1979 Milky Way, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that motion passes. Anything further from public safety?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to 11A, which is a discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 25-020, Wisconsin Local Government Climate Resolution. Mr. Aulick.
Thank you, Mayor. The Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition is comprised of local governments that work together to overcome barriers to decarbonization, accelerating local climate change solutions, and ensuring the benefits of the clean energy economy are distributed to everyone throughout the state. Verona has reinforced its commitment to sustainability and resiliency through the creation of the Sustainability Task Force in 2020. Verona shares the goals of the WLGCC, and the city intends to join the WLGCC, will contribute to sustaining its advocacy efforts, and authorizes the city administrator, assistant city administrator, and other staff as necessary with guidance from the Sustainability Task Force to represent the interests of the city of Verona in WLGCC activities.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Questions, comments, or motions? Alder Lytle.
I'd make a motion that we approve resolution number R25-20.
Motion by Alder Lytle. Is there a second? Seconded by Alder Humke. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 25-020, Wisconsin Local Government Climate Resolution, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. We will move on to 11B, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the amendments to the City of Verona display of flags policy. Mr. Aulick.
Thank you, Mayor. The proposed policy specifies that commemorative flag dimensions should be 4 foot by 6 feet, which reflects current practice, adds a city flagpole located on Main Street at the corner of Verona Avenue and Main Street, and makes other non-substantive edits.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions? Alder Humke, then Alder Tucker Long.
Oh, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to the City of Verona display of flags policy.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second? Second by Alder Tucker Long. Anything to add, Alder Humke?
No?
All right. Alder Tucker Long, then Alder Weiss.
I just wanted to clarify that when we say it adds a city flagpole, it's not adding a new flagpole. We recently discovered the flagpole that exists at the corner of Main Street and Verona Avenue belongs to the city. So it's just including it in the list of city-owned flagpoles. It is not, we're not purchasing a new flagpole. So I just wanted to clarify that that's what that means.
Alder Weiss.
Yeah, I just wanted to, what's the change here? I didn't follow what.
Oh, it's
Is it the size of the flag that's being changed?
correct. Yeah. Yes, Alder. Right now, 3x5 is in the policy, and it was borrowed from another community. And our flags on our commemorative flags on our poles are 4x6. So
Okay.
it just straightens that out, clarifies it. That's what we're doing currently.
Thank you.
Calling myself, I just want to point out again that the flags are all donated, and so we're not purchasing new flags. They're donated. And then also, yeah, if you're wondering why the flag looked a little rough on the corner, it's because we didn't realize it was ours and we hadn't been replacing it. So just wanted to point that out. But motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the amendments to the City of Verona display of flags policy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. And that motion passes. We'll move on to, actually, is anyone, would anyone like a recess, or would you want to finish new business? Recess now, or wait till we finish new business? New business? Okay. I'm going to call for a recess and after we're done with 11D. Okay. 11C, discussion and possible action regarding the hybrid meeting policy. Mr. Aulick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There have been requests to extend the hybrid meeting policy to other city boards, commissions, and committees, and we're requesting guidance on what, if any, changes should be made to the hybrid meeting policy.
So I guess, are you asking then people to say if they want to be allowed to do hybrid meetings for committees and commissions?
Correct. And what do
Or
those
not.
rules look like that would govern those? So like specifically, if we're just looking at the current hybrid meeting policy, there are two exclusions specific in the policy, which are City of Verona committee meetings and Plan Commission meetings. So they're excluded from hybrid meetings under the current policy, hybrid meeting policy. Other considerations that we need to get guidance on are things like, in order to have a quorum of a hybrid committee meeting, knowing that there are 3 people on the committee, do you need to have 2 of the 3 present physically in order to have a hybrid meeting and have it be okay? Also, do you want a cap on the number of virtual meetings that could be attended? Do you want this included towards it if you were to go with hybrid meetings for committees, commissions, boards, things like that? Trying to think if there's other. We also deal with technology deficiencies in rooms outside of this room and the large conference room. Like one of the committees or commissions that has popped up is the Park and Rec Commission and Urban Forestry Commission, where the technology isn't great in that room at the Public Works Department. So it's a matter of trying to get guidance on what, if, A, do you want to extend hybrid meetings to committee meetings and make it a formal policy? And then 2, what does that look like?
Alder Harrison.
Can I just ask what kicked off this conversation? Like, have there been run-ins with this policy that someone has requested a change? I guess, like, why are we revisiting this like 3 months after we just made changes? Is that accurate?
I think it's a little longer than that, but.
But did you have an answer?
Yeah, basically, we've received feedback that alders have requested, hey, can I attend the X committee virtually or Plan Commission or what have you? And we just don't have a policy applied to those scenarios outside of the city council.
Alder Tucker Long.
So this has come up a lot because we have various committees and we have, people who want to attend virtually who are members of the committees. And there's been a lot of conflicting messages about whether or not it's allowed or not allowed and who's not allowed, if only staff is allowed to attend virtually or only consultants are allowed to attend virtually or only non-alders are allowed to attend virtually, or, there's just been a lot of confusion about what's allowed and what's not. And I don't like confusion, and I want it to be clear. But I'm also in favor of giving people as many opportunities as possible to attend. And I will say that, Parks doesn't have the fancy setup that we have in this room here, but we've easily had people attend virtually. It's not been an issue. And so what kicked off this conversation was just trying to clarify that and make sure that's clear so that committees and task forces and everything has clear guidance on what is and isn't allowed.
Gotcha. Thank you both.
Other feedback on what you'd like to see from a hybrid meeting policy? And this is, of course, a feedback-only session, correct?
Correct.
Yes, we're not voting on it tonight. But Alder Lytle.
I would just say that where we're at today and the cost of technology, purchasing one or even two of the webcam 360 with speakers would be, in my opinion, a very reasonable investment. So, it can be checked out if there's a committee meeting coming up. And so any approved city meeting room could be a virtual meeting room pretty darn easily. And whether we go through the vendor that set up the much fancier system in the large conference room, or whether we just do some shopping around for kind of off-the-shelf things that we can connect to the network, I think it would be a pretty smart investment and allow a lot more flexibility.
Other feedback from the council? Alder Weiss.
Just want to say generally, I think like many of us, but just in favor of like whatever allows more flexibility, and the technology is there, so we should probably try to use it. I think that there's, if there's practical limitations where it's just not possible, I think that having, prudent restrictions as far as like, that if something was a challenge from a technology standpoint. But I think in general, trying to make it, as Alder Lytle said, that, even if it means spending some money to try to equip the rooms that we have, to make them available for remote meetings, it seems reasonable to me.
Calling myself real quick. I do like the option of potential, in the same way we do for the city council, allowing virtual public comments, because I feel like sometimes the committees fly under the radar. And it might be nice and it might be convenient for people if they can just, technology permitting, if they can just kind of log in quick from their phone and just say, hey, you should or shouldn't do this. But that's my thoughts. Alder Humke.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's commentary. I really I feel like I'm in favor of what all the people have shared. I like the idea of more people being able to attend. I didn't even think about like the committee meetings and the public being able to attend, but I really like that because I think in the effort of transparency and allowing people space to give commentary is really helpful. So yeah, anyway, if the technology is easy to get and move around, like it sounds like Alder Tucker Long has said that it's fairly easy currently, but if there's other ways of making it even more streamlined, like I'm all in favor of making that happen, so.
Alder Hoax.
Yeah, I think some of I guess my questions are, it sounds good to say, to make it open to the public, but what does that look like? Do we have to then have, say like for our parks meeting, right? Does it have to be sent out? Is there a link? Does it have to be, if it doesn't work, then is it illegal? Like, it sounds great to say like it should be open, but like, I just don't want it to become more of a nuisance to make sure, because it doesn't get used a lot as it is. We don't have 1,000 viewers on YouTube. We might have 2. No, but I just want to make sure it doesn't have an undue hindrance on us for no reason, that it sounds good and it's open, but then it really just causes us more headache, right? So like for me personally, I mean, I'm here, or like if I'm on vacation, I'm not zooming into this, but if somebody else wants to, like I'm fine with that, right? But like I said, for it being open to the public, I just want to make sure that we know what we're getting into.
Alder Tucker Long.
To go along with what Alder Hook said, I agree. I want the policy to allow virtual meetings, but not require all committees to host virtual meetings. So my only interest in getting this updated is to allow the possibility, not necessarily to require it at all meetings.
Alder Harrison.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it probably makes the most sense to make this a tool available to required attendees as needed. For the reason, I think this has come up at previous discussions of this topic, we can't verify where you're from if you're online. You could just get the link and join from wherever. So you may or may not be from Verona or invested or interested in Verona, whatever. But I think it would be nice to have the added flexibility and the accessibility. It's an accessibility thing, right? Like we want the people in this room to be able to share opinions with each other, and the people who we've appointed to committees and all of those. So I think that's my priority above public comment style of Zoom. That's my 2 cents.
Other feedback? Mr. Aulick, is there anything that you'd like the council to address specifically?
Yes. What is the threshold of in-person attendance to have the hybrid option? I.e., do you have to have a quorum of 2 people there? Because we, as we've discussed in the past, if the power would go out during that committee meeting and there was 1 person there and 2 people attending remotely, the meeting would effectively end. I mean, it would.
Alder Humke.
So interesting enough, though, like we hold meetings with the town of Verona where nobody's in person. So how does that, like the committee that we have, I mean, we just did a doodle poll for that, like nobody's in person. So like that works. Is that unique to that certain situation for some reason? Or I understand what you're coming from. I also know like it's very flexible during the day to be able to just log in from my house and not have to like all the, that kind of piece. So
Yeah, actually, Mayor, is it okay if Brian comes up?
Yeah.
He has thoughts on
Mr.
purely
Clymer?
virtual meetings.
So I think, first of all, the reason why the joint committee meetings are different right now is because they're not covered by any policies that we have. But there are certainly, and this is completely up to your discretion. My understanding is the policy for the Common Council right now is that folks can attend virtually. However, anybody who's attending virtually is not counted as part of the quorum for the reasons that Jamie said. There are other communities that do allow virtual attendance, and those people are counted as part of the quorum. So I think that's a fundamental, you've already answered that question, and there's no reason why you have to change it if you don't want to, but it is also something that's available to you, and I think that's one of the things that Jamie was getting at, which is, and you could debate this as much as you want. If you have 3 people at a meeting and only 1 person could be in person, and the 2 people who are virtual don't count, then you're just not going to hold the meeting. If you allow them to attend and then all of a sudden the power goes out, now your meeting gets canceled. And that you can sit here and debate as to whether one's better than the other or not. You've answered that question here, but I think that's one of the things that you need to answer moving forward too. And it's perfectly fine to say for whatever committee meetings we have, we're gonna leave it the same as for the council, which is effectively virtually you can attend, but you don't count towards the quorum.
I'm in favor of that. That makes sense to me to keep it consistent with the current policy we have.
I got Alder Tucker-Long than myself.
I'm actually going to disagree and say that I think it depends on the committee, and I think we should leave it up to the decision of perhaps the chair or the department director that's in charge of that committee. And the reason I say that is because we have certain committees where quorum is not as big of a deal because it's more of a discussion type meeting, or, like there's no voting happening necessarily. And so in those cases, quorum doesn't really make a huge difference. Just having a virtual person doesn't necessarily mean the technology is going to fail. And so to prevent it from working in all these situations because it could fail, I don't know, just seems like we're putting a roadblock in where we don't necessarily need a roadblock. I mean, if the power goes out here, they could call in on their cell phone, or, there are alternate options. It's not like if one method stops, there's no way to continue the meeting. And so I just kind of feel like, I don't know, it just seems like a roadblock to having committee meetings that doesn't need to be there.
I guess calling on myself. I guess I think I'm more favorable to a less restrictive policy for most of the committees and commissions, with the exception of Plan Commission. Plan Commission has had absolutely full rooms, and I understand that technology doesn't necessarily have to fail, but I would not want to be in a room of 50 people and be like, well, meeting's done, everyone go home. It would create a really bad impression of the city, and so I would favor a more cautious thing, especially also just because of the nature of Plan Commission and the amount of visual aids you need to look at. And maybe there's other committees where someone could just, if the internet failed or whatever, they could just call in on their phone and be on speakerphone and continue to participate in the meeting. But for Plan Commission, I would rather take a more cautious approach, which is similar to the way we do it at the council, just so we don't, it can be hard enough for members of the public to even get here at all and saying, well, now this meeting's over and you have to come back in 2 weeks. I don't think that's good for the public, and I don't think it creates a positive impression. Mr. Clymer.
I was just going to say along those lines then, if you want to, you have the ability to effectively amend your existing common council policy just to say that it applies to the common council meetings and the plan commission meetings, and then theoretically create another policy that applies to all other committee meetings for the city.
Oh. Other questions or comments? Seeing no further discussion on this item.
I've got one more, Mayor, sorry.
Okay.
Are we going to cap the number of virtual attendance like we do in the common council policy? So members, this is common council policy. Members can participate in no more than 4 virtual meetings in a given year unless there's a public health order restricting attendance, restriction on capacities in a meeting location, weather event, et cetera. Do you want to cap the number of virtual meetings?
Alder Tucker Long.
I'm fine keeping the cap for elected officials, but I am strongly against capping the number of virtual attendances for community members or non-elected officials who are on the committees, because there could be all sorts of reasons why it's difficult for them to get there, and I really want to make it as easy as possible for people to participate in these committees. And if this is something we can do to make it easier for someone to attend on their lunch break, or, attend while they're home with their kids or whatever. I'm not in favor of restricting the number of virtual attendances for non-elected officials.
Alder Swanson.
I just want to chime in and agree with that. I think Alder Tucker Long is exactly right. There's a reasonable higher expectation for those of us that are elected. And I think the cap makes sense for that. But for anyone else, I think that it is not as reasonable to expect that of them.
Other thoughts on limiting the number of times you can be virtual at a meeting? Alder Leibel.
I'll just say I hope at some point we address the discrepancy that there doesn't appear to be a cap on missing meetings, but there is a cap on joining virtually. So, if I, for whatever reason, am traveling more for work and I hit my 4-meeting cap, then I guess I better just skip the meeting rather than joining virtually. I agree with the policy, but it kind of is inconsistent with our overall absence policy.
Other comments? Okay, was that everything?
Good, thank you.
All right, and with that, we'll move on to 11D, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the tax incremental financing for the Sugar Creek Commons. Mr. Clymer, if you could give us a brief overview. I think we can do this all in open session, but
I think there's a pretty good chance it can be all in open session. So I think a little bit of background is necessary. Back in March of 2021, the city and Sugar Creek Commons LLC executed a TIF agreement that allowed for the potential payment of $3.2 million for the Sugar Creek Commons development. And if you're familiar with that development, it's effectively split into kind of two different projects. One is the mixed-use project, which is the commercial that is right on the road, and then the multifamily that is behind it. And then there is to be a hotel or what's deemed the hotel project. That's defined as a hotel with approximately 120 rooms and a conference center. And there's even a greater definition for it within the document because it refers to the site plan that was approved by the Plan Commission for the hotel project. So again, that was executed back in 2021. As we all know, we don't have the hotel convention center at this point, but we do have the mixed-use development that's on the road and the apartments behind. The city this year has been approached by the developer on the potential to modify the hotel project into a multifamily development project. And so I'm just going to read a portion of a letter that was sent from city staff to the developer, which is Forward Development Group, back in May. And I'm only going to read one sentence because this sentence is really what we're here to talk about. It says, to be clear, FDG's proposed new multifamily development with Sugar Creek Commons does not satisfy the hotel project requirement under the TIF agreement, even if the site plan and zoning is approved by the city for the new multifamily development. And so the reason for that was, understandably so, the developer's thought process is, well, we would like to have a discussion with the city about if the hotel project no longer moves forward and it becomes multifamily development, would you be willing to amend the TIF agreement so that the developer could still receive the TIF payments? And so right now we're only talking about that potential change, and I'm going to give you my opinion in a second, but obviously it's your decision. I would note that to receive the payments under the TIF agreement, it wasn't just that the hotel project and the mixed-use project needed to be constructed pursuant to the site plan approved by the city. They also needed to get their public improvements done by a certain date and get the property remediated by a certain date, and they missed both of those dates. So we're not talking about that tonight, but I just want to make sure that even if you were willing to amend the agreement on the multifamily issue, we still have to deal with the fact that those other two dates were not satisfied. So we did, at a staff level, and Mayor Diaz was there, meet with Forward Development Group a number of weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago now, and we touched on this topic. And as part of that meeting, we said, look, the ultimate deciding authority here is the Common Council as to whether or not an agreement is going to be amended. And so we can sit here and talk in circles if we want to at a staff level, but we really need to get this before you. And as far as I'm aware, right now, the current proposal for that site, which was the hotel project site, the current proposal is for multifamily development. Now, I'm not sure if any of you were here when they first started negotiating this agreement. The mayor was. I don't know if Phil was here. I can't imagine anybody else. Beth was here. Okay. I can tell you that the hotel project was key to getting the TIF. It's come up in other circumstances where there have been statements that have been made, we want the hotel, we want the event center. The developer has said, obviously they've made an attempt to get it, and it's just not going to work out for them, which I don't dispute that in any way, shape, or form. But that was the risk that the developer took when it executed this development agreement and moved forward, whether it's Forward Development Group or any other developer. So I'm not focusing on them. I've yet to see, as a municipal attorney for the last 25 years, any developer come to a municipality and say, hey, this thing really went gangbusters. We made a lot more money on this. How about we share some of that with you? In other words, the risk is both ways. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And so I think it's important to note that when the city executed this agreement, it was critical to have the hotel project. The other thing that I will say, and so if you can't, my recommendation would be not to amend the agreement if that's not clear at this point. As far as I'm aware, and I'm 99.9% sure I'm correct on this, the city of Verona has never provided TIF for market rate apartments. And if the city were to amend the TIF agreement to allow for a TIF payment here, which for a project that ultimately is commercial and two multifamily apartment complexes, you would be crossing a threshold that you have never crossed before. Now, we have definitely provided TIF for affordable housing. We've done that with the Alexander Company project and with the North Point project. And we did make that point to Forward. And I think what we heard in the meeting was essentially they're just not equipped to do affordable housing, which is fine. That's not a criticism in any way, shape, or form of them. That's just, that's what we've done before as it relates to multifamily. It hasn't been for market rate. And so, really this is on the agenda because you're the decision maker. And you don't necessarily have to make a motion. If the belief of the Common Council is, look, we're not going to be willing to amend the development agreement to provide TIF assistance, and basically it's, if you guys want TIF, you have to do a hotel project. I really don't think there's we can have that discussion in open session. I don't really think there's a reason to go into closed session. If the council is open to amending the terms and condition of the development agreement, that then is an appropriate closed session discussion because we would talk about the terms and conditions. But I think we can start this discussion in open session and then see whether or not it's necessary to go into close. But I'm certainly willing to answer whatever questions, but I'm trying to sum up and give the background, and obviously Jamie and Mayor Diaz, if you want to add, do so.
I do. I'm going to call on myself right away. There's 3 points I'd like to make. One, they didn't meet the conditions of the agreement, therefore they shouldn't get the money. Like, that's like contracts 101. I mean, and two, like, if we don't hold them to their agreement, why should anyone ever honor agreement with us? Why should I pay my water bill? Apparently, like, the city won't enforce people following any of the rules. And then three, since I've been here actually for a long time, the site that FGG bought included naturally occurring affordable housing. And they've replaced it with luxury housing. And when I was an alder, I initially voted against the project because I didn't think we should use TIF to tear down naturally occurring affordable housing to build luxury housing. However, there were, like, it came with an event center, a hotel, a lot of other stuff. This modification that they're asking for would be really driving home the point that we are giving TIF for luxury housing and getting rid of affordable housing. And I think that's immoral, and I don't think we should do it. So to me, there's 3 extremely good reasons we should just say no and put the ball back in their court and say, figure it out. I have nothing against their multifamily project. I think it's fine. I would support it. I just don't think they get public money for it. I could go on for a while, but I'll leave it at that. But I would open it up then generally to the council, Alder Humke, and then Alder Tucker-Long, then Alder Weiss.
I think I just in general have always appreciated your vantage point about setting expectations and just holding the expectations and not crossing those boundaries. And I appreciate the mayor's input too. And I just have no interest in going any further with having this discussion. I don't want to do it at all to amend the agreement.
Alder Tucker-Long, then Alder Weiss.
Yeah, I am not interested at all in amending this agreement. I feel we've had plenty of discussions trying to help move this project along or get this project to where it needed to be, and I'm not interested in modifying it for public money for this, so.
Alder Weiss.
I'm also, it seems like a bad idea for all of the reasons that have previously been said, and I just want to say that I also don't think that it's a good idea for us to entertain modifying the agreement.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Hoeks.
I, too, am not in favor of this, and that's all I will say.
Alder Keller.
I've been here for 5 minutes. I am also not in agreement in modifying this agreement.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Harrison.
I'm the last one, so I'm against it. Don't do it.
Alder Swanson.
I'm going to steal Alder Harrison's thunder by saying I'm actually the last one. And I am, of course, also against it.
Well, I guess Alder Lytle, do you have a comment?
I don't have anything to add.
All right, well,
I think that's the clarity that we need, and we will share this information with the developer. And, again, we're not making a decision as to what they're going to, ultimately pursue to put there. And nothing that you've done tonight means they can't go ahead and continue with their application on the multifamily. It simply would mean that it wouldn't qualify for the TIF funding.
All right. With that, I'm going to call for an 8-minute recess. So we will reconvene back here at 9:12. All right, it is 9:12 and we are back in session. We will continue to item 12, old business. First up, we have 12A, which is discussion and possible action regarding the decision on a petition for judicial review in the case of the City of Verona versus the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and the Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District and related litigation options. Do we have anything for open session?
No, Mayor.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session if someone wants to make it. Alder Tucker-Long.
I move that we go into closed session regarding discussion and possible action regarding the decision on petition for judicial review in the case regarding City of Verona v. Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District and related litigation options. The Common Council may convene in closed session as authorized by Wisconsin Statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G for the purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the City of Verona who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the Common Council with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. The Common Council may reconvene in open session and take action on the closed session item.
Before I ask for a second, Alder Swanson, do you have a question or?
I did have a question, yes. Are we able to bundle both of these items that may need closed session action together into one closed session, or do we have to come back and then?
We don't
go back
have,
into
we don't
closed?
have to, but my understanding is we could do potentially most or all of 12B in open session. So I guess normally we would bundle these if we were sure we were going into, but I think we will probably have stuff to say in open session, I guess. Okay, is there a second for Alder Tucker's motion?
Second.
Second by Alder Host. Okay, this is of course a roll call vote. If Clerk Lick would read the roll.
Alderperson Harrison.
Aye.
Alderperson Helmke.
Aye.
Alderperson Hoax.
Aye.
Alderperson Keller.
Aye.
Alderperson Lytle.
And just take the opportunity to mention that while I am on the MMSD Commission, I have recused myself from closed sessions there so I can maintain avoidance of conflict.
Alderperson Swanson.
Aye.
Alderperson Tucker-Long.
Aye.
Alderperson Weiss.
Aye.
All right, we will convene in closed session in the private room, and we will reconvene in open session when we're done discussing the advice from our attorney. All right, it is 9:41 p.m. and we are back in open session. I guess I would entertain a motion on this topic if someone wants to make it. Alder Tucker-Long.
So I move that we proceed with the appeal. Is that the correct motion?
I think that works, yeah.
Okay.
Motion by Alder Tucker-Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor of proceeding with the appeal regarding the Am I like hearing things or what's going on? Oh, Alder Swanson, I think we're picking up some audio from you. Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry.
All those in favor with proceeding with the appeal on the on the petition for judicial review in the case of the City of Verona versus the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and the Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, no?
No.
And that motion passes with Alder Lytle voting against. With that, we'll move on to 12B, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the possible sale of city-owned property at 2159 Range Trail and requests for proposals. Mr. Olick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is included to consider a potential sale of city-owned property at 2159 Range Trail. Given feedback from the Common Council at the last meeting, we've drafted a request for proposals for the sale, and that's included in your packet. Staff will continue to refine this, and I think there's some things we can do with the maps and make it a little more appealing. But I really want to make sure that the substance of the RFP was in line with what you wanted or expected.
All right, I guess feedback on the RFP, especially in line with the substance, the criteria. Alder Lytle.
I'll state that I'd provided some feedback to Mr. Aulick in terms of formatting, trying to potentially use some existing RFPs as templates for just the organization of it, but I do support the information in it and would be very comfortable proceeding with the criteria and the main details that are in there currently.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Humke.
I'm just going to second what Alder Lytle said. I really appreciated the write-up, and I'm really excited to see kind of what comes up from it. So I'll be curious, like from the feedback you gave as well. Appreciate that experience that you have.
Other feedback from the council on the criteria or on the proposal in general? Alder Tucker Long.
I'm not super well versed in how RFPs are normally written, so I just wanted to mention that I know we had talked about wanting to mention that we are open to, non-traditional proposals and things like that, or, proposals that are outside of, other things we have already in Verona. And I didn't really get the sense, I know it says diverse residential and or commercial types and potentially add options not currently in Verona, but I felt like that didn't quite convey our openness to interesting new out-of-the-box ideas. So I don't know if there's a way to add that in.
Undoubtedly, there is Alder Tucker Long, maybe just not the second, but noted, and thank you for the advice. Yeah, we'll get that incorporated.
Alder Weiss.
I agree in spirit and intent with Alder Tucker Long on this, but I do think that I'm very wary of trying to be too prescriptive and trying to list too many things, and I think that there's going to be things that we want to have because we want it to be like that. And I think that we have to be very judicious about limiting how many things are on the list, just because I think that having a shorter list is better. Because, and also I think that, and I think I could be way off base about this, but I think in the current interest rate environment that we're in, we're probably going to end up with a pretty conventional kind of a thing happening, just because like right now, it's just really expensive to do to finance big projects, and people are going to be more conservative with their, so I think that at this point in time, I don't know how, I guess I'm feeling pessimistic on that aspect of it, but maybe unduly. So anyway, just throwing it out there that I do think that the number of things I think is good, and I very much appreciate the work that staff did with coming up with a really good RFP that wasn't too prescriptive.
Other thoughts from the council? Mr. Aulick, do you have any questions that need to be answered, or?
I don't.
Okay. Again, I'll put it to the council. I mean, aside from the change potentially suggested by Alder Tucker Long, are people comfortable moving forward with the proposal? Seeing nodding heads. Okay. And then just to clarify the timeline, at some point you'll finalize it and then it'll be published to the public?
Correct. Yep. We're shooting for the end of the month. So.
And that wouldn't come back to council again?
Correct.
Just so everyone's clear.
Yep.
Okay. As long as everyone's comfortable with that. Seeing nodding heads. Okay. I'll move on to item 13, which is adjournment. A motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Hoeks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Humke. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed, no? And we adjourn at 9:47 p.m. Thank you, everyone.